Would you ever tell me to bean dip another girl? Yes, Love is Blind is objectively trash reality TV. Yes, I think it does slightly cheapen the beauty and sanctity of marriage. However, it's very entertaining. So today, me and Cynthia are gonna do a video kind of overviewing Love is Blind Season 6.
Not us doing a video about Love is Blind.
Not us doing that video.
Period.
No, yeah, so we're just gonna do kind of an overview of Season 6, all the messiness that happened, kind of like share our thoughts about it, and first things first, though, I'd like to thank everyone for 100 subscribers. That oddly means a lot to me, so thank you for subbing. And then if you haven't done that, the button's right there. Come on, what's wrong with you? So we're gonna share our thoughts on Season 6, and the internet is often a pretty heartless place. There's usually not a lot of compassion for people, and these are real people with real feelings that are taking part in a weird experiment. So this is gonna be a very compassionate kind of review of it. So
full of love and not judgment.
Yeah, this will be a Christian analysis. Hopefully. Yes, it will. So we're gonna talk about basically all the questions that people have been talking about. The first one, we're gonna start really soft and easy and like really who cares, but then we're gonna get juicy and juicier to like Chelsea and Jimmy and AD and Clay. So first question, why do you think that Ken and Brittany really broke up? Because there's a lot of theories, so what do you think is the real reason?
Yeah, I know that you and I were talking about how Ken was slowly withdrawing from their relationship, especially when they got back from Dominican. And I know that Brittany, she was probably feeling that withdrawal, and then I feel like her needs really weren't getting met. And so she eventually started saying, like, I don't feel that crave from you anymore, which honestly I think just stems from that need not getting met.
Right, yeah. Well, I mean, like, did you say, like, I'm not feeling that crave from you or for you? For, right?
For.
Right, yeah. I think there's an element of, okay, I have the girl now, and so, like, I could just chill. Like, I could just relax and, like, be myself, except, like, that meant, like, not having that same intentionality with, like, engaging her. And then I think Brittany, when she came to talk to him about that, she wasn't trying to break up with him, whatever.
Right, yeah.
I think she phrased it in a way where it's like, well, I'm not feeling this for you, instead of just saying what she was probably feeling, like, you're not, do you like me? Like, because I can't tell, really. Except, like, I don't think she wanted to just say it like that, because I don't know if it was, like, intimidated, but it was like, I don't know if I'm right, so I need to ask him if I'm right.
That's fair. And I also think that part of the reason is, like, it's hard to be vulnerable, especially with someone that you just met, like, less than a month ago.
Yeah.
And so she probably didn't know how Ken would have responded. Maybe people haven't responded to her in the best way in the past.
Yeah.
And so I think on any level, whether you know someone or not, it is hard to just come up and be like, hey, I'm feeling insecure, it feels like you don't like me, or whatever the case is.
Yeah, and to her credit, that's exactly how he responded. He was just like, I'm not feeling that, so it's all your problem, and like, that's
confirmed what she might have been thinking.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't think that was true. But
I was so shocked, though. I was not expecting them to break up in that episode.
They were our favorite couple because like, she's a teacher, she's in teacher's college, he's a worship leader, so am I, and then they said that they weren't gonna sleep together at all, like, before getting married, so I'm like, oh wow.
They're on the same page about a lot of things.
They seem for real.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm a Christian and then, like, I'm just gonna act completely opposite of that, which we see a lot on these kinds of shows. Yeah, that was...
It's kind of sad.
A lot of people are saying that it was because AD talked to, what's his name, Ken, and then, like, that kind of planted seeds of doubt in his mind, and then that's what made him withdraw. Like, do you think that was it, or?
Honestly, I don't, because they had conversations about this, and I feel like Brittany was very open and supportive, and I never once got the impression or the idea that it would have been an issue.
Right. Yeah. The only thing that makes me say, like, maybe it was because, like, Ken as a person, like, he's not going to be as forthcoming with something like that with her. Like, he waited for her to bring up an issue, and then he was just ready to split. So, like, he was, like, jumping off of her emotions instead of, like...
Bringing his own.
Yeah, exactly.
So, both of them did that, essentially.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah. I don't think it had a lot to do with AD. I think it has a lot more to do with him. And let me just add, there is, like, extra information that's coming out or whatever, or, like... extra rumors. We're not gonna go into that and talk about it because that is just gossip at that point, because like, he hasn't said anything, and so we can't just pointlessly speculate, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if anything, we'll find out on the reunion.
Exactly. All right, so next question. Moving on to Jonny and Amy.
Jonny and Amy.
What did you think about Amy not wanting to move forward in a relationship without her father's blessing?
Honestly, I understand on a lot of levels, because especially if you have a close relationship with your father, you know, you wouldn't want to disappoint them. You know, you wouldn't want to cause tension or drama in the family, or even separate yourself from your dad, because, you know, like, they've been part of your life for your whole life, right?
Yeah.
A lot of your own values do come from your upbringing. On the other hand, I feel like, I'll just use us for an example, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, if someone, let's say my dad told me that I couldn't like date you, I would inquire. I would be more curious about it and be like, okay, what's your reasoning behind it? And if my current values don't align with what they're saying, then I would ultimately have to make the decision that's best for me, because I'm an adult, right?
Right, yeah.
And I don't think that it's appropriate to have blind loyalty to your parents.
No pun intended.
Oh.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yeah, I think there's a balance between making your own decisions as an adult and still valuing what your parents have to say.
Right, yeah. And like, I wouldn't want to get married if her family wasn't okay with it. Not because of anything else, but like, I want to have a peaceful life.
Yeah.
And like, that's just a bad foundation to kind of start off on. But like, obviously Amy is from a Spanish,
Puerto Rico?
Yes, I think that was it. A lot of cultures, like a lot of Eastern cultures, are very family oriented. That comes with a lot of good, and it comes with brushing things under the rug and just having to put up with things because people are family and family over everything, family, and like that's hella toxic. And so like I was worried that would be a problem for Amy and Jonny, and like maybe it is. We haven't seen after the wedding, but like shout out to all the parents on this show. All of them had really nice moments. Her dad was such a sweetheart. You could tell like how much he loved his little girl.
Literally cried when the episode when he was just really affirming her and Jonny. I'm like, oh,
yeah, no, same.
They're so sweet.
It was really sweet. Yeah, he just seems like a big old teddy bear.
Yeah. At the end of the day, though, I think that I would be heartbroken if I wasn't like aligned with like my dad and stuff. But I think that, you know, if your parents like love you the way they do, they'd be willing to be open-minded.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully trust that you're good at making decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so next question. Why do you think Jonny was so afraid of having a baby before he was ready?
I think that part of it could stem from a poverty mentality or just a lack
we're getting deep.
mindset.
We're getting deep.
Because like from what I remember, he was really focused on, okay, I need to have enough money. We need to make sure that we're set financially before we
Which surprised me because of his surfer hair. Like, you would not expect that level of responsibility from his flow, you know? Like, if he had a comb over, I'd expect it, but...
That's very fair. Yeah. So I feel like it comes from that lack mindset and wanting to maybe have some sense of control of like, okay, if I can do A, B, and C, then we'll be okay. And then our baby's going to be okay and their life's going to be okay.
Yeah. He did mention that was kind of the situation that his parents were in where when they had him, because they had him too soon and it was hard financially. Although I don't know how hard it would be for him because he's an account executive. So that sounds like money, but I don't know. Maybe he wants to have 3 million instead of 2 million in the bank, you know? But I see a therapist. And then I was telling him one time about like something I was afraid of happening, just an experience I don't like. He was helping me confront that fear and being like, okay, so that happened to you in your past. Did you make it? Are you alive? Like, are you a functioning adult for the most part? And I was like, yeah, but I didn't like it when I was a kid. And he's like, yeah, of course. Except now, do you have more maturity? Do you have more people in your life that love you? Do you have more like emotional tools in your back pocket? And I'm like, yeah, no, that's all real. Like, maybe I shouldn't be that afraid of this. And basically, that's exactly what I would want to say to Jonny, because he was like really afraid of it in a way that I don't think he needed to be. Especially didn't need to insinuate that she needs to take birth control, or that like if a baby does happen, then he didn't actually say this, and it was just maybe danced around a little, but it kind of sounded like he was like, hey, if we have a baby before, like
abortion was a possibility.
Yeah, and again, I don't know if that's really what he meant. Like, he may have not been thinking about that. I don't know, but...
Yeah, it could have been a number of things.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, that would have been bad.
Shout out to those who go to therapy.
Yes.
Because it is life-changing. Yeah. Get rid of all the stigma about therapy, because it literally transforms our lives.
And that brings us to our sponsor, BetterHelp. No, I wish. I wish. Okay, so moving from Amy and Jonny, because they're the boring happy couple. Alright, so moving on to Laura and Jeremy, as his name is spelt. Would you ever tell me to bean dip another girl? Let me say that smoothly so that I could play this at the beginning as like a preview. Would you ever tell me to bean dip another girl?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
no.
That's so odd. I would have no idea why you would feel that way.
Oh yeah. I don't know. I just be having crazy
feelings
sometimes.
Yeah. So I think like Laura saying that to Jeremy was almost like an insecurity thing, because a similar thing happened to Jimmy and Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
Like they were describing how all the other girls looked to their partner.
Yeah.
And then obviously like noted by many people on the show, AD looked good. And it's almost like Laura saying, hey, like go do this to her or whatever. It was almost like almost came from a jealousy.
It was like she has what I don't have. It could have been.
Yeah, that's the only thing I could think of, really. Like, obviously, I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of as to why someone would joke about that. Maybe I just don't know enough people. But I don't know anyone else who would kind of say that to their boyfriend. Especially, like, drawing attention to someone else's body like that. Okay. So this one's kind of a broader question, but why do you think Laura communicated how she did, just like generally?
Do you mean like after they broke up?
Yeah, okay. That too. Yeah.
I feel after they broke up, it turned sour really quick.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. My favorite line, go kick rocks with open-toed shoes.
That was my least favorite line, because no man should ever wear open-toed shoes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she was talking out of a deep place of hurt.
Yeah.
I think that it makes a lot of sense why she was upset, but she did say one line when she was talking about Sarah Ann. She said that Sarah Ann didn't owe her anything. It's Jeremy that owed her because he was in the relationship with her, right?
Yeah.
But anyways, just the way with which she communicated, it was pretty harsh. And I think it was because it came from a lot of unprocessed emotion.
Yeah.
Just very raw and
open. Super raw. I think like even before they broke up or whatever, she had kind of a harsher edge to her. And then like when they were meeting everyone's parents, I remember looking specifically at Laura's parents because I'm like, okay, like where does she kind of get this from? But what surprised me is that they both seem so chill and nice and like just like sweet, almost meek people.
Yeah.
And like obviously people can come off a certain way in front of camera and be different off, but like you could feel Laura's energy and you could feel theirs, and like they seemed genuinely almost soft spoken. And my theory is, this is pure conjecture, but you know, she has older sister energy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she actually is an older sister. I forgot to look or whatever. But like, if she isn't, she is. You know what I mean? And like...
She has a lot of like, I need to have things in control. I need to have it a certain way. I need to...
That's why she refuses to marry anyone messy. Because I feel like she's had to clean up after everyone's mess her whole life.
Yeah. Or even it's just like a way of having some sense of control in your life, right? Because that happens. People stress clean. Like, I don't know what that's like, but people stress clean.
What a great mechanism.
Yeah.
Everyone should have that. Like, she just strikes me as someone who's had to take charge of things that her very sweet, nice parents maybe weren't, like, because often people with those kind of personality types can be a little passive at points, and that comes at the expense of the kids, right? And so that's just my thought at why she kind of had that like harsh edge, and especially after they broke up, she said like awful things to him, which obviously he did do her wrong for sure. There are much healthier ways to handle your hurt, because at the end of the day, she didn't say all that awful stuff. I was like, oh, I feel good about myself now. I feel better, right? No.
Yeah. That being said, though, I think we both really understand where she was coming from and why it came out that way. There's like no judgment there.
Yeah, for sure. Was Sarah Ann in the right?
Oh,
I'm gonna just ask you first.
Yeah, I've heard different opinions on this.
Yeah.
Some people have said that, like, you know what, it's the nature of the experiment is very different from normal dating, and so no, she had every right to send that message. In my opinion, I think that, you know what, if she wanted to send him a message about like, hey, I really value our time together and I appreciate what I've learned about myself, blah blah blah, and left it at that, I feel like that would have been more appropriate than saying after that, if there's any chance, then hey, hit me up. Because at that point, even if Jeremy and Laura only knew each other for 3 weeks, whatever it was, they were still engaged.
Yeah.
And they were committed to each other.
Yeah.
If I was in Laura's shoes and someone came up to my boyfriend or my fiance is like, hey, I appreciated like our time together, like knowing that we're together and still saying like, hey, if you're ever like interested, hit me up, I would be seething with anger.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was appropriate.
Yeah, like it's definitely I wouldn't do it. I think about it like, okay, I'm putting myself into Laura's shoes. All right, say like one of your exes like hit you up and was like basically said the same thing like, hey, like if it doesn't work out or whatever, like, hi, I'm here. I honestly don't think I would be mad. Like if I didn't know him or whatever, like I don't think I'd be mad, just because I'm like, if something like that could take her away, like I would want it to almost. But then again, if it was someone I knew, I'd still feel that general sentiment of like, if this works, then sure, go ahead.
Yeah, but if someone from Zoe came and like,
see, like that's different. That's it's a little different. Which is our church, by the way. Yeah.
I would be angry though, because it would bring up a lot of insecurity in me. It's like,
right, yeah.
It was like, it would touch on a lot of buttons. But I just, in general, it's just human decency. Like, don't go after someone who's committed. It's not cool.
Right, and like, I can understand Sarah Ann in the fact that like, sure, they're engaged, but it's Love is Blind engaged. Yeah. And it doesn't really feel like a real engagement, but like, if someone's committed to someone else, like, just step back.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that Jeremy, he didn't really give her a good answer as to why he didn't choose her. Oh. And so, like, it probably very well seemed like there was, still a door open of some sort. Yeah,
exactly. Just about Jeremy, like, I'd say I understand him the least out of, like, all of the other dudes on Love is Blind. I can't really get a handle on him. I don't know a lot of his underlying motivations, though I think Laura kind of nailed it, like when she said like, okay, you obviously have feelings for Sarah Ann that you did not know how to process, and you didn't know how to do this like properly. I think that was something he needs to learn how to process better.
He did the best he could.
God bless him, honestly. Okay. Oh, okay. Was it good that AD confronted Sarah Ann? What are your thoughts?
You know what? I think that AD had good intentions. Maybe she was trying to stick up for her friend, but at the end of the day, I think that wasn't her place, because it's not her relationship and it's not her business.
Yeah.
To say that as nicely as possible, right? So, like, I see maybe, like I said, maybe good intentions, but not her business.
As a dude, that conversation was so infuriating, because, like, it was so... For me, it seems so passive-aggressive, because they're like, oh, sweetie, this, oh, this, and they're almost, like, trying to seem nice, but, like, they're obviously mad. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know whose side I'm on. Just, like, somebody hit someone. Like, it was so irritating to me. I don't know.
I'm feeling interrogated right now.
Oh, well, baby, that's on you. And I'm like, someone fight. Someone punch, please.
Okay.
Oh, okay, there you go. Thinking as a Christian, and I don't know where AD actually is with anything, and so like I can't put that on her, but I know that like as a Christian, a point with a conversation like that would be like restoration and like like restoring friendships, or like just like genuinely like getting the other person's input and like understanding them. To me, it didn't really seem like AD was trying to do that. You think she had good intentions? I'm not super sure, although it is good to just err on the side of believing the best of people. But like I didn't see that, but that's just me.
That's fair. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
It's more of a like stick it to ya kind of.
Yeah, and again, like the internet is like very happy, like, yeah, AD, like you did that, like you like ate her up or whatever, and I'm like, obviously like as Christians that's never our goal to like do that to someone, because at the end of the day, like I think everyone just left mad. You know what I mean?
And it doesn't build someone up.
No.
So it wasn't helpful to anybody.
Yeah, there's also that other aspect of AD's fiance is constantly talking about, like, I'm worried that I'm gonna commit infidelity or whatever. So, like, I think that might have influenced AD a little bit, made her, like, a little less likely to genuinely get Sarah Ann's side of things, which is understandable. All right, now we're at Jimmy and Chelsea. First question, does Chelsea look like Megan Fox?
You know what? I think that Chelsea has some similar features to Megan Fox, and I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, no, like, it's especially the way that she put it. She was like, yeah, like, my friends have said this. I'm not really sure about it. And I think she may have been, like, trying to be like, oh, but, like, I don't believe it, like, just in case. I could see, like, because girls like to hype each other up, maybe a little too much, but I could totally see, like, one of her friends actually saying that, and I don't think Chelsea's lying about that. Obviously, like, Megan Fox, one of the most objectively attractive people, so, like you're probably not gonna come out looking good if someone compares you to one of the most attractive people. So, you know, be nice, people. Oh, goodness gracious. Why do you think Jimmy chose Chelsea over Jessica?
Honestly, I feel like Chelsea was the less stressful option out of the two, or maybe stressful is not the word. You know what? I think Jimmy was taking into consideration that Jessica had a 10-year-old kid.
Yeah, people are a little too fast to brush that off. Like the reason why I asked this is because people are saying, oh, it's literally just because Jimmy thought that she looked like Megan Fox. I'm like, I truly don't think so. At least, like, that wasn't the biggest part.
There was a lot of hesitation on his part. He's like, yeah, I have to think about the fact that you have a kid,
a whole 10-year-old.
Yeah. And he's not bad for doing
not.
So, right? It's up to everyone's own choice if, like, they want to, you know, take in another kid that isn't their own.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also don't think that he thought any less of Jessica.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just a big part of the decision.
Yeah, and especially if you're, like, you only know each other for a couple days. If you're choosing between two people and then you're fighting with one, that definitely, this may offend, but I think generally men don't want a certain level of conflict in their lives, especially when it comes to, like, who they're going to marry. At least they shouldn't. Some guys are very attracted to all the drama and ups and downs or whatever, but that's not healthy. Don't do that. And actually, that leads to my next question. Why did Jimmy find the most dramatic women in this show and then had to choose between them two?
You know, I think it could be for many reasons. Again, we are just presenting what we think it might be.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like Jimmy, you know, maybe that was familiar to him growing up. Maybe he had, I don't know if he had siblings, but maybe his mom was dramatic, or maybe he had authority figures that were dramatic.
His template for femininity had to be a little dramatic.
Yeah. And he also has a lot of female friends, so maybe they're dramatic.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just comfort for him.
Like, this is something you can apply. If you keep on attracting the same person, the common denominator, you. That one's for free. Why did Chelsea choose Jimmy over Trevor?
I actually don't know the answer to this one. I don't have an opinion.
Yeah? Well, like, I think Chelsea was kind of talking about it after to her friends of how, like, Jimmy was, like, the most wanted commodity there or whatever. And then, like, she knew that Jessica, who is very pretty, was also going after him. People have said that maybe, like, it was, like, an ego thing. Competitiveness? Competition?
Competition.
Yeah.
I can words.
Yes, you can words. That's what some people have said, and I do think that Chelsea doesn't feel like she is worthy of having someone who was, like, 100% in for, as Trevor seemed like he was, although there are things coming out about him, so that may or may not have been true. I do think for a lot of women especially, it's if a man seems not fully emotionally available, it's like, okay, I get to win him now. I get to recreate my childhood where
childhood things.
Exactly, where my dad seems kind of emotionally unavailable, and I always wanted him to love me, so I'm gonna find a man who also seems emotionally unavailable and make him love me, and then it's gonna heal this part of me.
Guilty.
I don't want to say anything. When we first got together, she thought I was emotionally unavailable, which is why she was like, "Oh wait, he's kind of."
And then he wasn't, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, run!"
And then it scared her, and she ran. But then therapy.
Therapy.
Man, if BetterHelp does not sponsor us after this, I swear. How would you feel if I said that another girl was stacked?
I'll do one of these.
That's honestly way nicer than I was expecting.
Oh my gosh. I would probably shut down because that is how I handle my anger or frustration.
Yeah.
And then I would probably be upset. Like, why would you say that?
Would you be like, hey, AD, my fiance thinks you have a big butt? Like, would you do that?
I would just leave. I'm like, bye. Go have fun with her then.
Yeah, so apparently Jimmy did an interview where he said that there was more context to that, where Chelsea had described all the other girls and what they looked like, and apparently she had said that AD is stacked or thick, or I don't know how they put it. There's 1,000 different words for it. She looked good. And so this was Jimmy seeing her for the first time. He's like, yo, AD is stacked. You're right.
Oh, he was affirming
what Chelsea had said before or whatever. Because before this, people were really mad at Jimmy, and I didn't really understand why, except then I saw this and I'm like, okay, like that's probably not the wisest thing to say. Like, I don't think Jimmy was genuinely attracted to her. Like, I think he felt safe enough to say, because he knew that he was not, like, he did not want to be with her at all, but it was just like, yeah, it's a fact. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah, that is very fair. I think that...
Yeah, still not wise, but like, the context made it a little better for me. Was it wrong for Jimmy to call Chelsea clingy?
I think he was just stating facts.
Yeah.
Could he have worded it better? Yes. Could he have instead taken ownership for his own feelings and be like, hey, I'm feeling overwhelmed by our level of connection right now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. It's better to talk about yourself and like what's going through your mind, because when you're in vulnerability, it invites vulnerability. But like, the context of the conversation was like, oh, Jimmy, you're not doing this. Jimmy, you're not doing that. And they were like, what she wanted felt unreasonable. And it was, honestly. But Jimmy was like, okay, now you're being clingy. And then she was like, what? You mean you don't want me to do this for you? You don't want me to do that for you? Like, that wasn't the context at all. It was just like, you're being clingy in the sense that you want so much from me.
Yeah.
Not like, I don't appreciate what you're doing for me. It definitely was a fact that like she was being clingy. I get that a lot of people have felt like, oh, like I'm too much in a relationship. Like I love too much. Like I'm asking for too much, and like that could definitely be very hurtful and triggering. But like, again, it's not like he called her the B word or like something like objectively like on its face like hostile, mean, degrading. Like, it was accurate, if not like the best way to put it.
I think it was just insensitive. That's all. Especially in her triggered state, it did not blow over well. Yeah, no, definitely not. Should you still be friends with people who you've been romantically involved with? No, you should not. No. No, you should not. It's not healthy. Because at one point in your life, you were romantically attracted to this person. Attracted. I promise I can words. Yeah, at one point, you were attracted to this person, right? And so, what do they say? Like, old flames can rekindle... Old flames catch fast. Whatever that saying is. It happens. She can words. I can phrases too.
She can phrases.
Yeah, but at some point, you know, like maybe find yourself texting them more often, right? There is room for those romantic feelings to develop again. Yeah. Do people do it? Yes. But yeah, I don't think it's healthy. Now, should you be cordial with them? Can you hang out with them in a group? Of course. Yeah. Why not? Yeah, exactly. But in terms of having one-on-one connection and like letting them into your life in a more intimate way, I don't see that as being healthy.
Yeah, no, that's silly. It's just silly. I understand why people do it.
There's the level of comfort.
Yeah.
And security. It's like, you know this person, and so it just it makes sense.
Totally. But yeah, that kind of got both of them into trouble. That got Jimmy into trouble, and then like Jimmy was saying how Chelsea was FaceTiming her ex-boyfriend as soon as she got her phone back. Except the way Chelsea was talking, it was like she would never do the same thing that Jimmy's doing. So they were both doing it. They were both just doing something that wasn't the smartest. I think that's a good example of her, Chelsea, and Ken both have a hard time owning anything. Owning their own feelings, their own insecurities.
Their own shortcomings too.
Their own shortcomings, and they're always turning it around. And like, in order to be, I don't want to say dateable, because I don't want to make it seem like they're like unworthy. Yeah, okay. In order to be a safe person, you need to be able to own you. And part of owning you is having compassion on yourself. Be like, I have flaws, that doesn't mean I'm bad. Because a lot of people can't take ownership because they think if I admit that I have this flaw, that means I'm bad. But the truth is, you're made in the image of God. He knows every bit of icky, horrible things that you don't like about yourself, and he loves you. And so if you're able to see yourself how God sees you, then you're able to own the parts of you that aren't fully sanctified yet.
There's no shame.
Exactly, there's no shame.
No shame. It's just, hey, I messed up in this way, but I know that I am loved and I can do better moving forward.
Exactly. Okay. Moving on to AD and Clay.
All day, all Clay.
I can't. Okay, so...
You have to insert who is it that does that?
Is it Cardi B?
I think so. There you go.
Okay. Cardi B is now in my vlogs. So, why do you think Clay was so fixated on looks in the beginning?
I think it potentially came from a place of insecurity. So we found out that his father cheated on his mom growing up, and I'm sure that he did not have any time to process that. Like, he was never told why or what happened. And so maybe he thought, like, oh, like, my dad cheated because my mom was unattractive to my dad.
Yeah. He thought that, okay, she needs to be the finest woman on earth.
So that
I don't want to cheat.
Yeah. It's possible it was coming from that. I'm not going to throw out, like, yeah, you should be attracted to your partner. Like, that has a big part to play in your relationship, right? But it's not the biggest. And it's not the only part that has to play.
So... I have two thoughts. One is like Clay actually reminds me of Kwame from the season 4 a little bit, where they were both really tried to project this image of themselves, like
performance.
Yeah, they're both living out a performance. Then so part of putting out like an image and like performing is like when you're with someone, that person becomes a part of your image, and then if that person doesn't look good, you know, superficially, then that will actually make you look bad, and like especially if your identity is in how you're perceived, then I think that was in his mind a lot. Second thought is both AD and Clay both said that, oh, like this is the deepest relationship that I've ever been in or whatever. Like this is as deep as I've ever gone. But like even compared to the other couples, they were not deep.
They're pretty surface
They
level.
were really surface level, except like to both of them, this was like the deepest relationship they've ever had. And it makes sense because if you've only really had relatively shallow relationships,
based on external, based on physical,
looks become much more much more important. I think like at the beginning he was like really worried about that, like, and I think he had a little more self-awareness by the end. But so how do you think that Clay kind of living in this performance place played out, and like what are the times that you saw that and how it affected him?
I definitely think that, you know, when they were coming out of the pods and they were meeting each other, you could tell right away he was trying to win her over, to be smooth, to make sure he had all the right words to say.
Yeah, no, it was less about like meeting her and seeing her, but it was about like, okay, I need to be smooth, need to be suave, like, because I remember him saying in the pods like, yo, my dad was like the smoothest, most suave man, and like I want to be just like him, kind of like, or like I want to emulate that.
So I can see why, I don't mean to interrupt, but like I can see why that would be such a confusing thought in his head, because on one hand he wants to be just like his dad, and at the same time he wants to be nothing like his dad. Yeah,
your dad, I'd say, like has such power in how you perceive your identity, like especially as you're growing up. Like your moms do too, to a certain extent, but I think dads just have some special button.
Yeah.
That's like, that can't really be replaced. Is there a place to push each other in relationships? I think you had this idea that like your partner's gonna be like a coach, be like, oh, you're getting kind of fat, back in the gym.
I'd be like, so are you. Let's go. Like, that's so like insensitive, but you're not.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Iron sharpens iron. And I think there is a time and place where you and your partner should be encouraging each other to be your best selves. Right? That's the point of being in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Now, is there an appropriate way to do that? Yes. Yeah, I think that things could have been worded differently than Clay did it, but yeah, like it is important, you know, that you're individually striving to be the best person that you can.
Yeah, both of you,
right?
Yeah.
And then when one person isn't doing so great, you're there to pull them up. Or if you're not doing great, your partner's there to pull you up.
No, yeah. And this was still like earlier on in their relationship, so like they were still in a much more shallow area where looks matter a lot more. I know, like for me and Cynthia, like we both have a value that like even through marriage and through kids, like we want to still make an effort for each other in order to like look good. Yeah, exactly. But like it's self-motivated. I don't see me ever going like, hey, like, can you try? I don't see that. But like the reason I feel safe with her is because we both have that value of wanting to work on ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, all that stuff. But
Our
like
soul to lease.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, there definitely is a place to build each other up in relationships. Positive reinforcement. Was it a red flag that Clay's father committed adultery multiple times and very brazenly in his relationship?
Absolutely not. That does not count against Clay in any way. I think the only concerning thing was that, like, he's like, oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to cheat because my dad cheated. I still don't think it was a red flag because he was just starting to process this. And, it wasn't like it was a desire of his. Like, yeah, I'm going to go into marriage and I'm going to cheat. Like, no.
Right.
And it was something that he said he's going to start going to therapy so that he can process all of that.
Yeah.
But,
I was so proud when he said that.
Therapy.
Yeah, therapy. Gosh, man, this sponsors are coming soon. I can feel it.
So I feel like there's room for concern on AD's part, but it shouldn't scare her away.
Right. There's hope for everyone, no matter where they started from. Like, if they're intentional about not wanting to repeat certain patterns, nothing is impossible. People do heal, but I think a hard thing for him is he needs to be able to say, yes, I look up to and respect my father in so many ways. He also had huge, massive failings. Admitting that is really hard because, again, your father represents so much of your identity. But once you're in a place where you could see the good and the bad about your parents, you're able with more objectivity to be like, okay, this is who I am, this is who they are, this is who I want to be.
Right, yeah.
But I'm just gonna have a moment of empathy for Clay, because taking your boy on trips to cheat on your wife, I can't imagine what that actually does to this little boy's psyche. And I know we already shouted out the parents, but Clay's mom had such a light on her. When someone's been through that kind of repeated infidelity, they have a bitterness, except I could tell she's Christian, she's real. I want to be like her when I grow up.
She had such a grace that she carried.
So was it good that Clay said no at the altar?
There's a lot of heat that Clay is getting for this right now. I personally respect him for saying no because he knew he wasn't ready. He said no with the intention of hey, I'm not rejecting you, I just need to work on me right now. I feel like it was really hard though for AD to hear that at the altar. There was a time still before that.
Yeah, she seemed super blindsided by it. And he did say that this was a game time decision. Him and his dad love their sports metaphors.
And his friends too. Yeah, and AD was upset, and rightfully so, because she went in thinking that she was gonna come out a wife.
Yeah.
But then again, I think that Clay made the healthiest decision.
Yeah.
Especially because he was just starting to process all of this trauma from his past.
Yeah. It would have been so easy for him to just say what he thinks he's supposed to say, perform his way into a relationship or whatever, but he didn't. Yeah, no, he definitely made the right decision. As far as I know right now, they're still dating, and hopefully if Clay's been doing what he said and trying to get help with all this stuff that he's starting to process now, I actually have a lot of hope for them.
Yeah, I actually, as you're saying that, being able to see Clay, even if it's just on the TV, the screen or whatever, I see the same sweetness in him that we see in his mom. He definitely seems like a really sweet person. There's just a lot of baggage and fear that's masking that.
Everybody has a sweet boy.
I have a sweet boy.
Oh. Boy, I think this is the last question. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, what did you think of AD in the dressing room after the supposed wedding and saying I'm just never enough?
I really feel for her because she was triggered and she has every right to feel the way that she did. I do think, though, because of the trigger, it became more about her than what the reality of the situation actually was, because Clay didn't reject her. Clay didn't think she was not enough. Clay wasn't unhappy or displeased with her. He just wanted to make sure that he was going to present himself and bring the best self he could.
Yeah. He's definitely an Enneagram 3. I think for like their whole relationship on the show, it's like it was very obvious that Clay was the issue. He had the problems. At least like that's how it was like portrayed on the show. But like this just goes to show like sometimes there's one person that like people perceive as like the issue when really we attract people of our own level of emotional health. It's called the codependent dance. Like one person has all the issues and the other person needs to be needed and needs to fix. And like a lot of time in those codependent dances, you could think that this other person is my issue when really I'm my own issue. She's her own issue. We could draw boundaries with other people so that they don't infringe on us. But like at the end of the day, like there isn't one person that could just ruin your life. You know what I mean?
Golden nugget. You are your own problem.
You are your own problem.
I am my own problem. He's his own problem.
Exactly. There's not one person that's the problem, but I think the good thing about Clay saying no is that her issues were starting to come more to the surface.
At the end.
And so I don't think that he just needs work. She also needs to work on herself. And that kind of hole that losing her father left in her and the relationship not being awesome when he was alive. And so yeah, there's hope for everyone.
There's
hope for her.
For everyone.
There's hope for him. There's hope for Chelsea. There's hope for Jimmy, I rate you.
We slayed.
Yeah, we slayed. We ate. How do I end YouTube videos? So video over. Thank you for watching. If you liked it and want to see more of this guy, hit that guy, hit the bell, ding, and we shall see you next time.
So soon.
Say goodbye, vlog. Goodbye, vlog. Wow.